How you doing? I'm Woodsy and this is another episode of Woody's Weight. So it is week 2, day 2 of the new 4-week thing I'm doing with the Zen dudes, and so far I am absolutely loving the jump rope. How I'm going with it, how it's impacting my body and all that sort of stuff, I'll jump into next week, because I thought this week I might talk about my nutrition and what I'm doing there, because as everyone knows, and as is said time and time again, nutrition is 80% of what's going to get you to that weight loss goal, or is what's going to get you to the body that you want, whether that's building mass or losing weight. Now there's a couple of different ways that I go through it, and I'll take you through the way that I'm set on right now. And I don't know if you can tell, but the camera is on one side of my living space and I'm standing at the other side of my living space. This is where I live. I live in a mining town, in a mining camp. So I eat dinner at the mess hall, night in, night out. What that means is pure temptation. So to start things off, I thought I'd just go through some of the techniques and processes I go through just in the mess hall to make sure I'm not getting empty calories in when I shouldn't be. So one of the things that I do is I make sure I've got a plan when I go in. So taking down things after the fact, which is what I did with the app MyFitnessPal when I was using it last year, meant that I was more able to slip and slide when I didn't need to and when I really didn't want to. And I'd pick up things like cake without even thinking about it. It would be a guilty thing, but I would sort of convince myself, no, it's alright, I'll just go a little bit harder tomorrow. But I hadn't earned it, and I certainly didn't fit it into my macros. And then the other thing is, when you're living in camp, there's curries and pastas and all this sort of stuff that just attracts your attention away from what's actually the good stuff that they've got there. And you've really got to avoid those, because you've got no idea. If you were making it yourself, cool, you can go ahead and put all the stuff that you've got in that curry into your tracking sheet and make sure that she's all schmick. But when you're in camp, you've got no idea what they're throwing in there, so you can't really track it. You don't have any idea what the calories are that are going in, and no real idea of the macros that you're hitting when you go through such a diet. So I'll go through the macros and calories and the way I calculate it all in a little bit. The last thing, of course, is the vegetables. You've got to be real careful when you're in a camp with the vegetables, because a lot of the time it won't just be boiled vegetables, it'll be maybe glazed carrots. So all of a sudden you've got some kind of honey glaze on the carrots, and the honey glaze, red flag's got to be going up straight away if you're trying to lose weight. And the glazes on the carrots, that's just empty calories, when you could just be piling on the peas that are right next door and they're just boiled. So there's a few of those little ins and outs of camp living and camp life that I have to deal with. But it also means that I'm having to go through a challenge each day, which means I'm proving to myself each day that I've got what it takes to actually make it through this weight loss process that I'm going through right now. So right now I'll go through how I calculate my macros, what the macros are, and then I'll also go through the tracking sheet that I use and how I compile that. And what I do is keep it very, very simple. I'm quite happy to eat the same thing for 5 days a week, and then just on the weekends try and just keep an eye out for it when I'm at the pubs and whatnot. But during the week I'll have the same thing for breakfast, the same thing for lunch, and I've got 3 different variations that I have for dinner, and I've got that all mapped out for myself as is. So let's jump into it. Right, so I'm going to go through what I use for my calculating my macros and also my calorie allowance for while I'm trying to lose weight. So the key thing is your macros. You've got 3 macronutrients you need to focus on. You've got your protein, your fats and your carbohydrates. If you want to learn more about them, Google them. I'm not an expert. I fix electrical things for a living. So what I'd suggest is just jump on Google and look up macronutrients. But basically, a lot of people try and just count their calories, and then in essence what they do is they their protein count drops just naturally, because it's really hard to keep your protein level up to where it needs to be for your body weight. And when you do that, essentially you start losing muscle mass, which is not what we want to do. We want to lose fat, not muscle mass. So what I do to calculate my macros is I go to a website called If It Fits Your Macros. You can see here that I've googled IIFYM, a nice acronym. So we'll jump into that website just to see what I need. So it gives you a pretty quick calculator. So I am from Australia, so I'm going to go metric. So I am a man, 29, 183 centimeters. That's what I was after, wasn't it? Yep, 183. Current weight, let's put in what I was last week, and my goal weight is 90 kilos. Cool. So we go total body weight formula. You've got to pay if you use this one. So let's say I put in light activity as my daily activities, and that's what I would be daily activities wise without exercise. So days exercising per week, let's put in what I do, 5 days per week. That's about 30 minutes per day exercising. And I'd say this is difficult. I've definitely break a sweat, and I've definitely been checking my heart rate, and it's pretty insane. So now I can set my diet calories based on my fat loss goals. So what I'm going for is weight loss. So I'll put in a suggested amount, and that gives me 23.96. So what I'd say is the difference here is I believe I was on moderate when I first calculated it, which was based on my normal exercise behaviour. At this stage, it's difficult. So you just got to be really careful as to what you're including, and make sure you get what you're doing as close as possible. So we go negative 15%, and then that gives us a suggestion of 23.96 calories. Alright, so that's cool, that's part one. Now, click here to get your macros. So you put in your thing, and your email, which you guys will all know anyway, because that's where it goes to. Righto. Now, what it's basically given me is what my targets are here. So these are my macros: proteins, fats, and carbs. And a good thing to note is that's good fats and good carbs, which is another thing you should jump on Google and get your head around. So what do I do with this? These are just numbers at this stage. What I do now is I go and build myself a diet plan. Now you can use MyFitnessPal for this. I find that a bit cumbersome and wieldy. I am more than handy with Excel, so what I do is I get what I call an Excel calorie counter. And the one I've been using is from this website called Contextures. So just jump on that link and it's a free download. And I have already downloaded it. And this is what it looks like. Enable editing. Okie dokie. Thanks. Right, food. So what you need to do here is you go into the food entry tab, and basically this is what it gives you. So you enter in your target calories. So we go back to the macro, and my target calories was stretching my memory now. So I think it was 23.96. Cool. So it's a little formula there. So then I also put in targets. I'll give it targets here, and my targets here were 180 grams, 88 grams, and 222 grams. And we'll leave the fibre target as is, and remains, just so that this is a nice easy indicator on what's left. So what I'll just do is a quick formula, that minus that. Cool. And Control R. So that's that formula. So essentially that just uses the target and then takes away the sum total of what I've got in there at this stage. Now you start building your meal plan. Like I said before, my meal plan is pretty easy and pretty basic, and I go with that. So what I do is I start with breakfast, and I'll go with eggs. I have 2 eggs every day for breakfast, and I go egg poached, 1 large, so I go portion size 2. Right, and you can see it immediately starts adding in your proteins and your fats and all of that good stuff, right? So you just keep going with that. So I've got breakfast again, and what I also have with breakfast is some spinach. So I'll just go through this and we'll make this speed up and we'll get to the other side. Alrighty, so as you can see, that is as close to complete as I'm able to get at this stage with this recipe input calculator. So as you can see, I'm about 600 calories short for my target, and this is already a weight loss target, so you need to make sure you get up to those calories. And then I'm 35 grams short on my proteins, 37 short on the fats, and 71 grams short on the carbs. So the other things that I'll add in would be the coffee. I have a fair few black coffees a day. What I've found is taking the milk and the sugar away from the coffee. While it was difficult to start, but it's something that I'm not having a trouble with now. And it's certainly one of those easy things. Again, sugars, bang, straight to the hips, and then of course milk. Too much of that is not a good thing. In order to get the protein up, like I said, it is quite difficult to get the protein up unless you've got access to a bucket load of chicken. What I do is I include protein supplements, so protein powders and protein bars, which are very low on the calories, and they're also very low on the carbs, which I know for my personal body, sticking away from the carbs is the best thing for me. And what I put the protein powder with is almond milk, but that's pretty much me. So what I'll do is I'd probably have the same thing, vegetable and grain, each night for dinner, and then I change up the chicken for a steak. Like I'll be having steak tonight. And on the Friday I'll have fish, not for a religious reason, just because I get quite used to fish and chips on a Friday evening. And the things you got to look out for is I would complete those menus. So I know I have a morning protein bar and an afternoon protein bar if I'm having chicken for dinner. If I'm having steak, that ups the protein, so I'll only have the morning protein bar and won't have the afternoon one. So the little things you got to look out for there, but I'm sort of all over this now for the Monday through Friday, all happy as Larry, and then the weekend, like I say, I try and keep it light meals when I go out, and then of course I'm drinking when I go out as well, so it blows the budget out of the water anyway. So I stay sober during the week, and this is the food I eat. So if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. But that's it. That's my macros, and that's my diet. That's how I do it. So this has been Woodsys Weight. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tick that little bell downstairs if you want to keep hearing more from me. Of course, I'm going through a 4-week challenge. 2 more weeks, 2.5 more weeks to go. At which point I'll give you some more measurements and we'll see how it's all going. I've been skipping. You've been great. See you next week.